Cars talks, your facts are opinions, and opinions are facts. Have you ever bought a new car, or at least a new to you car that still has a warranty, and you're so excited to get all these new parts on it? You want to make it a little bit faster, you want to make it a little bit louder, you just want to modify your car. So then you second guess yourself because you don't want to void your warranty. You become really depressed, so you go online and try to figure out what modifications won't void my warranty, and you end up on maybe some Reddit post like this: dealership is denying my warranty claim because of aftermarket parts, citing the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act. And then you'll always see responses like this: the manufacturer can deny warranty coverage if they can prove aftermarkets caused the damage. The key word being proved. They can't just deny coverage solely on aftermarket parts. You're like, oh, okay, well, they gotta prove it then. They can't just simply void my warranty because I have an intake or I have this or that. They have to prove it. That means it's not going to be easy for them to void my warranty. And if it blows up or something breaks with these parts on it, I'll be saved and life will be good. Until that actually happens, until something breaks and it sounds really expensive. Then you get towed to the dealership because you're thinking you're all high and mighty. Nothing's going to happen. You're going to get a new engine. You're going to get a new transmission, all completely free because of your warranty. And then the unthinkable happens. The manufacturer denies your warranty. Why? Because those aftermarket parts. And then you're sitting there like, there's no way. The Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act protects me from this. There's no way this part caused that problem. They have to prove it. Oh, but they did prove it. They can't do this to me. What am I going to do? I can't afford this. And that's how the cookie crumbles. What is the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act? First of all, let's go ahead and take a quick peek at what that is first before we discuss this any further. The Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act prevents manufacturers from voiding vehicle warranties simply because a consumer uses aftermarket parts or service. So technically, it's more involved than that, but this is a specific section of the Warranty Act that covers the use of aftermarket parts or third-party services for maintenance or repairs. The burden of proof lies with the manufacturer to demonstrate that the aftermarket part or service caused the defect or failure, not the consumer. So they have to prove that the part you put on caused the failure. So we're going to use an extreme but very realistic example, okay? So bear with me. Joe Schmo ended up buying an aftermarket intake system for that car. That is the only part he put on that car because he just wanted more sound, okay? Joe Schmo pays a shop to put this part on the car, and the car runs fine. And he's had this part on the car for months and months and months at a time. In fact, maybe even a year or two goes by and not one single issue happens. Now, Joe Schmo was a little skeptical when he first bought this car because this car is notorious for blowing head gaskets. It's a factory defect. It's well known, well documented. Joe Schmo did a lot of research. He read a lot of things, and he read that a lot of these failures are contributed to lack of maintenance. And Joe Schmo was a very meticulous person. He knew he wasn't going to have that problem. So he's like, I'm not going to let the fear stop me from getting the car I want. So he goes and buys it. So after 2 years of that intake on the car and meticulous maintenance, very frequent oil changes, using the best fuel, using the best everything he can, 2 years later, the engine suffers from a catastrophic failure related to the known head gasket defect. Joe Schmo doesn't know what to do. Joe Schmo is in disbelief. But Joe Schmo is like, well, it can't be all that bad. It's still under warranty. This is a known problem. I'll have the car towed to the dealership. They'll see that it's the well-documented problem that everyone knows about, and I'll have a new engine, no problem. Well, Joe Schmo also sent the car to the dealership with the aftermarket intake on because he didn't have time to switch it out. He had the car towed directly from the spot of the road where it failed to the nearest dealership down the road. Car gets to the dealership. They take a look at it. A week or so later, Joe Schmo gets a call from the service advisor, and they tell him that the manufacturer denies Joe Schmo's warranty. Joe Schmo's like, how? How can my warranty be denied? This is totally on the manufacturer. This is a known problem. Then the service advisor continues to say they're voiding the warranty because of the aftermarket intake on the car. Joe Schmo argues back, no, They can't do that. I read on Reddit, someone says they can't void my warranty due to an aftermarket intake. Then the only thing the service advisor can really say is, well, you're just probably going to have to call the manufacturer and speak to them directly. So Joe Schmo's out of a car now for weeks. He's been carpooling with a buddy to get to work. All while he's still making payments on this car and he's still paying insurance on this car. So weeks go by, he's calling the manufacturer, trying to figure out what is going on. He's on the phone with the manufacturer's warranty department, speaking to them. Then finally he ends up getting an answer. Not the answer he wanted, but nevertheless, this is the answer he got. After finally speaking with enough people at the warranty department, they told him that the warranty on his car was denied because of the aftermarket intake. That they proved the intake caused the issues because the intake allowed extra air into the engine that the car was not designed to use, causing a lean air fuel mixture, leading to increased cylinder pressure and thus lifting the head, causing the head gasket to fail. Joe Schmo's just sitting there in pure disbelief. He can't believe this happened. He calls his buddy who works on cars and tells him the story. And he tells him exactly what they told him. His buddy says there's no way that that intake caused that issue. His buddy has the same car. His buddy tunes cars. That's what his buddy does. His buddy knows that that car runs no different with the intake on versus the factory intake. So then Joe Schmo is like, okay, well, this is complete BS. I'm getting a lawyer. I'm hiring an attorney. We're fighting this. So he starts calling attorneys. He starts explaining exactly what happened. And one by one, each attorney denies his case. They said they don't want to take it. Well, he's like, how? This is directly against the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act. How come no attorney wants to take this? So then he finally gets in touch with one attorney, and the attorney agrees to take his case, but not pro bono, meaning Joe Schmo has to pay this attorney to take the case and fight for the warranty repair. If in court he is unsuccessful, not only is Joe Schmo responsible still to have his car fixed, but now he's responsible for paying this lawyer tens of thousands of dollars to fight the case, going up against a multi-billion-dollar manufacturer who has very deep pockets and very good lawyers. So at this point, Joe Schmo admits defeat. It's not worth spending the money on a lawyer. He's already lost so much money as it is because he just missed days at work because he couldn't always carpool with his buddy. He spent extra money on a rental for a few days just to try to make it to work, on top of still making car payments and still making insurance payments on the car that is sitting at the dealership with a blown engine. Joe Schmo thought to himself, there's no way this could have ever have happened to me. I did everything right. I read all the right things. I did everything I was supposed to do. I kept up on the maintenance. I took care of this car. How could this happen? It happened because you cannot trust the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act. I'm sorry, you can't do it. I know it's a federal law. I know it's there in clear black and white. You cannot trust that the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act will protect you if something happens to your car and you have aftermarket parts on it. All these Reddit threads about this, do not listen to them. You go on YouTube, there's videos and videos and videos about this whole topic. Some of them, most of them, they just repeat exactly what the law is. They just basically read what I read to you at the beginning of the video. This is what they tell you. Do not listen to them. Here is what I'll tell you, because I understand what Joe Schmo's went through. Because at one point, I was Joe Schmo. At one point, I listened to all this nonsense. I listened to what everyone had to say. You always hear stories of people taking their cars to a dealership, and they're like, "Oh yeah, my dealership's cool with mods. They don't care. They don't. I took my car in with a full exhaust and intake for a leaky something or another, and they fixed it." How many times have you heard that? How many times it just depends on the dealership. Some dealerships are mod friendly, some aren't. Listen to that for a second and explain to me how that makes any sense. Because when it comes to warranty repairs, the dealerships are at the mercy of the manufacturer. They're the ones who fund the repair. They're the ones who say if the repair is approved or denied. They tell the dealership the text, the procedures involved for determining what repairs are needed or what the initial cause of the damage was. They work for the manufacturers. How can a dealership be mod friendly, not be doing something they shouldn't be doing, forcing or falsifying documents to push warranty claims through so they can get the repair? See, that's the thing. If it's a shady dealership, they can say they're mod friendly because they're getting paid by the manufacturer to fix your broken engine due to aftermarket parts. If they're mod friendly, it's only because they're falsifying warranty claims to get the warranty business. Realistically, this is your options. If your claim was wrongfully denied again, because you can appeal this. I never even had the option to do so. So it was all through the dealership and I could never get it overturned. So if your claim is wrongfully denied again, you might consider filing a complaint with the appropriate agency, attending mediation, arbitration, or filing a case in court. So I was just going to go straight to filing a case. Once again, these were all pro bono, meaning the attorneys will take a case for free up front. They only take those cases if they know that there is like a 99.9% chance of winning that case. Otherwise, they can't keep their costs zero because that's how they advertise it. You pay us no fees unless we win. And that's what they say. But in order for them to guarantee that, they have to pretty much know that they're going to win that case. When it comes to fighting car manufacturers, because car manufacturers' lawyers get paid a lot more than they do to sit there and argue this. And you could fight this in court with a lawyer, but chances are you're not going to find a lawyer, an attorney to do it without them getting paid up front. So unless you're willing to spend tens of thousands of dollars to fight the case, it's probably just cheaper to spend, thousands or whatever dollars to just have the engine replaced or whatever it is in the vehicle that went wrong. You don't realize how much money someone can lose. They can't get to work if it's their only car. They're still making payments on it with insurance. You're paying all this money for a car you can't drive. People can't afford to have cars sitting at a dealership for weeks or months on end when this stuff happens, and it will take time. And that's what these manufacturers are hoping, that you have no time. You have no money to fight them. They're pretty much calling your bluff, saying, yeah, this guy, he ain't going to fight it. It doesn't matter whether our ruling was actually wrong or not. They're not going to fight it. So we're not going to have to pay money out for a warranty claim, because that's what they'd rather do. They'd rather pay one of their attorneys tens of thousands of dollars to fight a case for a repair that only costs a few $1,000s, just to save that few $1,000s, because they're gambling on the fact that the customer isn't going to fight it. And that's the problem here. That's why the Madison Moss warranty act doesn't matter, because these manufacturers, they come up with a BS thing like, oh, so-and-so part caused the issue because it wasn't originally designed. That's literally all they have to say. They don't have to actually give you a detailed rundown on what caused it. Even though the law says this, that's all they have to do. They're still following the law to give you a reason. But unless you can fight it and then prove otherwise, they're going to win every single time. They will win. And it is up to you to protect yourself from this. And how do you do that? Step 1, don't modify your car. If it's under warranty, do not modify it. Okay, simple as that. But I know that's not the answer you want. So realistically, what can you do to save yourself? Okay, if you're going to modify your car that's under warranty, do your research on what mods you put on. Okay, if you're doing something that's going to increase power or affect the way the car drives or tunes or anything like that, just know with increased power comes increased wear. Cars nowadays, they're not made great. Some cars might hold up to that increased power, some might not. It's just how things are nowadays. So you just have to go into it knowing there's the risk, okay? You got to know there's the risk involved. When you say, oh, well, I'll be fine. Fine, okay, you may actually well be just okay. When you put these mods on, save everything from the factory. Anything that came on that car from the factory OEM, save it. And this more or less goes to only put mods on the car that are easily reversible. Something easy, bolt on, bolt off, they're the best. Because if something did happen, and something very major to either the engine, the transmission, or something, you want to easily be able to unbolt those parts, put the factory back on, and you do this every time the car goes to the dealership. If it's going to the dealership for maintenance, you better take those parts off because they can document that. Also, be careful too, because a lot of new cars now, if you look on engine bays, there's little markers. They mark every bolt. So if they've been turned or moved, they will see that the lines don't line up, that bolt has been tampered with or something's been touched. You have to be meticulous in understanding that and seeing that, because all those things have to be exactly how it was. Those bolts have to line up exactly where they were, so it doesn't throw any visual red flags when they go and inspect. If you do that, you have a chance. If something happened to the engine, like if Joe Schmo kept his factory intake and Joe Schmo just spent the extra $100 to tow his car from where it broke down to his home so he could put the factory intake back on and then spend another $100 towing from his home to the dealership, Joe Schmo actually probably would have had the manufacturer replace the engine. So if you have those factory parts and you return it back to stock, you have a chance. Assuming two things. Modern car ECUs also act like a black box. Let's say you are running more boost in stock, but that's not because you tuned it. That's because you have an aftermarket exhaust on it. Less back pressure on a turbo car usually allows to run a little bit more boost. Car will still control the boost, but maybe there's spikes here and there that the original calibration isn't used to. Okay, it happens. Even though realistically it may not harm the car at all, it still shows on there. When the engine developed the issue, the car will log all the different sensor data at that point in time. It's called freeze frame data. And they see that the boost in that freeze frame data is a little bit higher than it should be. That's going to throw a red flag. Unless you reset that freeze frame data will be there. And then on the other side of that, if you reset that freeze frame data, then it also resets the drive cycle time. They can also see that the drive cycle time hasn't been much. So they'll know that you reset it. It's like damned if you do and damned if you don't. Realistically, if something happened to the engine, but the engine still ran, you could still drive it. If something not major, but still something failed, and that driving it isn't going to actually damage it further, the best thing to do would probably be reset the freeze frame data, reset the whole ECU, and drive the car. Drive it for a few days, get drive time on it. You got to get key cycles up. You have to do that enough so it looks normal. Take all the aftermarket parts off, put the factory parts back on, reset the ECU, go drive it for a few days before the car goes to the dealership. If you're looking to play the game, you got to play it smart. Don't rely on the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act to protect you. You got to rely on yourself to protect you. Furthermore, you can protect yourself just a little bit more. Creating a little separate savings account somewhere. Open up a savings account. My recommendation would be opening up a high yield savings account. Now, this isn't financial advice. This is just something I personally do, that this is one of the only other ways to protect yourself. You know, every month, put money in that account. It will build up. Do this from the very get-go of that car, whether it's under warranty or not. Put money in that account, make that account a bill, and make sure you can afford to make that account a bill. The reason why you do this is that account is an emergency fund account or a warranty account, if you will, because if you put parts on the car, something happens. Worst case scenario, if the manufacturer denies your claim, because I would always try to at least get it done through the manufacturer. You know, you do everything you can, you put it back in stock, you take it to the manufacturer, they still deny it, you've depleted all your resources. Go to that account you set up and use that money to fix your car. That's what you do. And at least that way, that money can be used to cover, expenses. If you lose a couple of days of work or whatever, you have that money. And the thing is, a lot of this conversation doesn't even apply. If your car is completely stock and you take it to the dealership for servicing and whatnot. If you're one of those people, chances are you're probably never going to have an issue, because there's very little evidence, because there's a paper trail. There's very little that the manufacturer can do to avoid a warranty. Not to say it still doesn't happen, but they know at that point there's very little they can do. If you take that ball out of their court by doing the work yourself, by putting parts on yourself, the game gets a whole lot harder for you to play. So it is what it is. The Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act is complete bullcrap, really. There's very little to it that actually protects consumers in this scenario. So just don't even put yourself in that position in the first place. Be smart about what you do with your money and your car. Otherwise, let me know what you think. That's going to wrap it up here for this video. Put your thoughts in the comments. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Share with everyone you know. If you want some more content like this and you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Keep a lookout for the next Cars Talks video.